The latest indictment against former President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election has triggered a Republican meltdown. Now, first off, the Trump campaign put out a statement that Trump is a victim of election interference and likened the Justice Department to Nazi Germany, literally Nazis, saying, quote, "The lawlessness of these persecutions of President Trump and his supporters is reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the former Soviet Union, and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. President Trump has always followed the law and the Constitution with advice from many highly accomplished attorneys." Really, highly accomplished attorneys. I don't think Rudy Giuliani counts as highly accomplished or smart at all. Okay. Now, I love it, by the way. Nothing like, fascists invoking Nazis as like, oh, look at the other side. They're the real Nazis. Oh, come on. Okay. Pot meat kettle. Now, look, the problem is, of course, Donald Trump hasn't followed the law. That's really the whole reason that he has been indicted. And by the way, he has also not listened to advice from his attorneys. And look, in fact, in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, also being presided over by, in the investigation, was presided by Jack Smith, Trump, turns out he rejected his legal team's proposal to try to settle the case with the Justice Department before he was indicted. Trump attorney Christopher Kise said in the fall of 2022 that he wanted to approach the Justice Department to arrange a deal with Attorney General Merrick Garland that would avoid Trump being indicted on federal charges in the matter, according to a report in the Washington Post. Obviously, Trump didn't do that. He dismissed the strategy and instead opted to listen to Tom Fitton, the head of the conservative group Judicial Watch, and others who told him he could legally keep the documents. And of course, Trump said, they're mine, they're mine. Well, obviously not. Oops. All right, now the advisor said that Trump frequently referenced Fitton in conversation with others, and that Fitton conveyed to Trump, some of Trump's attorneys, that the former president had the authority to keep documents, which again, we know that he did not have that authority. Stupid. All right, but it wasn't just the Trump campaign, of course. There's more. Failed Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake decided to say something, I was going to say uncharacteristically stupid, but it was characteristically stupid, but also, I don't know, just listen to this, okay? Now, first she called it election interference, of course, and then had called for other Republican candidates to basically do what's right for the country and to drop out of the election to support Donald Trump. That includes, by the way, Ron DeSantis, who, do you guys remember Ron DeSantis? He's got BDE, Big DeSantis energy. Whatever happened to that? Oh, no, apparently now DeSantis has to drop out in order to support Donald Trump. Okay. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene then took to X, which used to be called Twitter. Now it's X for some reason, and wrote this: "Today, America finds itself in a troubling situation." Does it now? Resembling authoritarian regimes rather than the beacon of freedom and democracy our founders valiantly fought to establish. Special Counsel Jack Smith has abused his power, using his office to persecute President Trump, his aides, and ultimately the American people. Somehow, these actions are undoubtedly politically motivated, with clear intentions of interfering with the upcoming 2024 election. This isn't just an indictment against President Trump, but against all his supporters and the fundamental rights of Americans. If an innocent former president can be targeted, then no American is truly safe. President Trump is just standing in the way. Okay. I love the idea now that being put forward by Republicans that every American is only safe when the most powerful person in the world is above the law. So wait. So now a president or a former president, in this case, can do all the crime they want, right? Because that's the only thing that keeps the American people safe from the government doing crime against them. What? That doesn't make it doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense, please. It's actually, honestly, reality is the opposite. How many for example, Trump's one-time allies have pleaded guilty or have been convicted of crimes? And again, this is even before the majority of them were pardoned by Trump. You had at least 14 aides, donors, and advisors that had been indicted or even imprisoned. And that list includes Rick Gates, Paul Manafort, Michael Cohen, George Papadopoulos, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, Elliot Brody, on and on, right? And so, look, again, that kind of shows you that Donald Trump is essentially a black hole. Everything in his orbit gets dragged in and then obliterated, essentially. Now, that said, the average Trump supporter who is not out there committing crimes on behalf of Trump, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You're going to survive. Okay? That's the reality. Now, if you were a capital rioter, different story. But again, that's if you did crime on behalf of Trump. If you did not, you're going to be okay. You're not going to suddenly be targeted. Oh my God, the government's coming after the average Trump. No, ridiculous. It's just complete and utter, like, I don't know, fantasy, conspiratorial nonsense. It's dumb. It's dumb. All right, now, there's more. Senator Josh Hawley wrote this. Biden DOJ unveils the latest effort to stop Trump from running against Biden. Totally unprecedented in American history. You know it's unprecedented, right? That's putting out slates of fake electors with the ability to put Trump back into power using a lie, the lie of election fraud. Again, unproven lie. Okay? It didn't happen, and it's not real. Pretty much everybody knew it was real, including Donald Trump. And they used that lie anyway to try to justify stealing an election. That's what it all comes down to. This wasn't just about questioning election results. Because I hear that argument as well. Well, you're going after Donald Trump's First Amendment rights, and you're going after everybody's First Amendment rights. We should be allowed to challenge, to question an election. You are allowed to question or challenge an election. In fact, Trump's team did that over 60 times. 60 times. They were in court and were able to present their case, their evidence if they had it. And guess what? They didn't ever bring any evidence of widespread voter fraud or widespread election fraud because they never had that evidence. It doesn't exist. Look, voter fraud happens. It's very rare, incredibly rare, but it does happen. I've talked about this. I've talked about how in the last election, for example, there are a lot of Trump supporters that, did voter fraud to vote for Trump in the villages. It's a literal haven of voter fraud. And so, yes, it happens. Of course it happens. But not enough to alter an election. Now, election fraud also happens. There have been issues of ballot stuffing before. But again, like voter fraud, it's very rare. It's very rare. And so, look, the Trump campaign, Rudy Giuliani, everybody, they had their day in court. They had their ability to present whatever evidence they claimed to have. And again, they didn't because they didn't have any. They lost as a result of that. And so, at the end of the day, no amount of whining from these right-wing chuds is going to make anything that they've said here today true And it's not going to make any of the charges against Donald Trump, which are very real, go away.